Hey there, you hopheads and malt brains. You're listening to Drinking Socially, Untapped's official podcast, and your inside look into what's happening in the Untapped community and the world of beer. This episode is brought to you by Rogue Ales and Spirits and their brand new Monsters of IPA series. Legends aren't born, they're brewed. We're going to find out a ton more about that in a couple of minutes. As always, if you like this show, hit the like, subscribe, the bell, all those fun things on YouTube. Follow us wherever you follow things online. You know the drill. Okay, so anybody who has had a conversation with me for more than like a few minutes knows it usually goes like one of two ways 90% of the time. Now I'm doing some high-level math. 2 ways, 90%, doesn't matter. I'm either telling you, usually unprompted, about some cryptozoological creature that you don't need to know about, but I found a grainy photo online. I'm pretty sure this is real. Just give me 15 minutes of your time. Or I'm hooting and hollering about some crazy IPA that I just enjoyed, and you need to find it ASAP or else. And today's conversation is going to be about both those things. So if Oktoberfest is my lager Christmas, then today, which I'm just going to call Monsters of IPA Day, is basically my beer birthday. And today's episode is going to be a party indeed. Not only will we be doing a Drinking Socially first, we're going to revisit 2 beers we've had on the podcast before. We've also got a serious group of people joining in on the fun today, including some very special guests from Rogue Ales and Spirits, Danny Connors, Innovation Manager at Rogue, and then Evan Bartholomew as well, Creative Director. But first, let me get my co-host, one of the original Drinking Socially co-hosts in here, Kyle Roderick. Kyle, how we doing today?
Hey, Harrison. Good to see you again. How's it going?
You as well. Yes, feeling good. I picked the perfect week to be doing my best Bigfoot impression, which
it's just great. It's going outwards, listener. If you're not watching the video, obviously you're doing something wrong. You need to go over to YouTube and do this right now. It's just kind of it's like down and out a little bit, Harrison. Yeah. And also, obviously, you know, you've got the long hair thing going. I feel like this is like the look. This is the Monsters. Are you kind of aiming for being the 4th monster of IPA? Is that the?
Ooh.
I don't know if that's where we'll go, but
it might be. We're going to find out today. I was thinking I'm going to bring up Combat Wombat. I want to see the battle, the Monsters of IPA battle, and then have Combat Wombat come in. Surprise 3rd act reveal. But I'm getting ahead of myself. We got the people who actually maybe have the answers and can maybe make that happen on the show. We're going to bring on in a minute. But first, we got to talk about badges, Kyle. So
yes,
obviously it's amazing beer, but a badge tied to them. So let's talk about that for a moment.
And not just any badge. Right. Not just a badge. It's a badge with 3 levels. Yes. Each level for each one of these Monsters of IPA. So you can have them in any order, right? But as you try these different Monsters of IPA, Batsquatch, Colossal Claude, and then the new one, a new West Coast IPA, which I'm super excited about trying today. You can level up between April 1st and June 1st, levels 1 through 3 as you try them. So check them in on Untapped, rate them, let us know where you are, let us know what you think, and then earn each of these badges. Then, not only are you earning these badges, you're going to need to go to monstersofIPA.com after that and obviously vote on your favorite. So there's two parts to that. One is on Untapped, checking in, click through. As soon as you've tried all 3, go vote on your favorite.
Which is tough to do, but we're going to maybe make some headway into that today. So we're bearing the lead. Let's get the guests of honor out here and the monsters they've brought with them. I'm excited to welcome Danny Connors and Evan Bartholomew to the show. Welcome, guys.
Hey. How's it going? Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you for coming here and bringing the best kind of gifts somebody can bring. So beer. Everyone's wondering at home, what's Harrison mean? Beer. I'm talking about beer. All right, so let's waste no time. Let's crack open some Gumberoo. Oh, I know a lot of people out there have been waiting for this moment. Last year we talked with Hagen at Rogue, and he was like, there's another monster, and we took some guesses. We were wrong. I'm thinking like the Dog Man, the Ohio Grass Man. That didn't make sense for Pacific Northwest. But anyway, let's talk about the beer first. let's get in here. Let's take a big old sip. But cheers, guys. Let's get our Gumberoo on.
Cheers.
Ooh. Wow. Oh, yeah. So I'm going to just ask you guys straight up, because usually we're kind of just guessing about what's in beers, well, educatedly guessing. Before we get even there, though, someone opens this beer for the first time, like what should they be smelling, tasting, all that fun stuff? Like what's happening right now?
It's a West Coast IPA, so we want it to have in the nose for sure, big on fruity hops. This one we use kind of combination of hops that are going to come across with that citrusy piney, kind of that classic hop characteristic, but then also more the newfangled hops that are bringing in like the sweet fruits and the tropical.
Right.
It's got a pretty decent malt backbone on it as well. You can see the color to it. It's got a pretty decent color.
It's beautiful.
And then because it's not a hazy, it's a West Coast, so it's got some proper bitterness to it. It's got some backbone.
It really does. And obviously, Rogue being one of the kind of, you guys know a thing or two about hops and IPAs and
we made it before.
Oh gosh, this is so cool. And so that was one of the things that jumped out to me about hearing about this kind of, lineup of beers. They're all IPAs, but we're lucky to live in a time when that almost doesn't mean anything. And there's so many different kinds of IPA now. You could drink 5, 6, 12 things that are an IPA, more than that, and there's a completely different experience. So it's really cool that each one of these beers, IPA, but they're all doing their own thing. And I'm happy to have a West Coast enter into the conversation. As great as Batsquatch Colossal Claude are, I was like, man, I wonder what that was my other thought last year, was what kind of IPA is it going to be? Pumped we're landing on West Coast. If the next one's a black IPA, that'd be pretty cool. But, anyway, just throwing it out there. Kyle knows that's the hill I'm going to die on, is bringing back black IPA.
That is true. Yep.
I'll go ahead and let the cat out of the bag. That is not going to be a black IPA.
Oh, all right.
But is there more? Does that mean there's more monsters?
I don't know.
Who knows? Okay, all right, fine. That's fine. It's okay. Don't give too much away too early. Ooh.
Yeah, just opening this right away, like the entire room now is filled kind of with that tropical smell, like you mentioned. It's really, some folks can perceive West Coast as kind of cloying, kind of like lawnmower juice a bit sometimes, right? And this is not that whatsoever. I know part of what you were all trying to do with the first two editions in this series was like kind of create some shelf stable IPAs, stuff that you could ship across the country that would maintain their haze. What other considerations for this one are you all like trying to make, trying to ship it out across the US and other places? To maintain that hop character, right?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough moving product. We've gotten, a bit better. We've been canning beers now for about 4 years.
Right.
You can usually get pretty low oxygen levels. It comes down to what your packaging team is doing in a lot of that, just how consistent they are, how good they are at keeping oxygen out of it when you're filling them. Everything these days, you're more or less just trying to squeeze as much hop flavor and aroma into that beer as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Without, I think we've kind of reached the limits of that in those hazies, where some of them are just taste like you're chewing on a dandelion, because there's just so much green matter in them. But yeah, I think we're using about 3 pounds per barrel of dry hopping in these things. And then it's just trying to manage inventory and meet the demands and ship things out as quick as you can. But the more flavor you can start with, the better.
Right. Yeah, I totally. And for everyone who's kind of wondering, what is an innovation manager? So Danny, like you were the innovation brewer. Now it's like you're kind of expanding that role to more, right? Can you tell me a little more about that? And then kind of like, where you jumped in. Were you like brewing pilot batches of this? Did you know this beer was Gumberoo and it came to you in a dream? Like what? Take me through that.
Yeah, this beer came to me in a fever dream. It just pulled it out of the ether, just pure inspiration, not built off of anything else. I invented West Coast IPAs.
You heard it here first, folks.
Right. I agree.
Yeah, no, I've been with Rogue for 11 years. I started as a brewer at our Newport facility as a production brewer. We have a brew pub in Portland. I moved up here about 10 years ago. I was there for only about a year. So I've been at our brew pub in Portland, which we've done a few things there. We ran actually other brands out of there. But about the last 4 or 5 years, I've been doing R&D stuff for Rogue. So we have a 1-barrel brew house, and then the larger setup there is a 15-barrel brew house. So I was doing a lot of that intermediate, the beginning batches and the intermediate batches. And then our brew house in Newport is 100 barrels. So getting, brewing a lot of beer that never saw the light of day, and doing a lot of other weird, projects that we have. Rogue does a ton of other things between our sodas. We were doing ciders. I didn't need, we have our CBD seltzers, our canned cocktails, our distilled spirits. And I've kind of touched everything. I know a little bit about a lot of stuff. I know mostly about beer though. And then, in the last 4 or 5 months, I became innovation manager, where you're more a project manager and making sure all the moving parts work. I'm not brewing the beer anymore, but keeping tabs on art, making sure Evan does his job.
Design.
Goddamn job. Packaging, all the regulatory, getting labels submitted to the TTB, recipes submitted to the TTB. I don't do any of it. I just tell the people to do it, which is pretty cool.
Talking about that earlier, delegation, amazing.
But so it's not just the beer now. All of our liquids, our bottled spirits, our whiskeys, our gins, our canned cocktails, our sodas, our CBD seltzers, everything.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly no shortage of things to do and discover from Rogue. It's everything from spirits to the CBD stuff is newer. I learned about that not too long ago, but that's amazing. I mean, it's all So I understand why they would need more than an innovation brewer, but now someone to innovate and be tracking all the innovation everywhere, because there's just so much cool stuff you guys are doing all the time. That's wild. And this, of course, being one of them, and obviously beer being the thing that everybody thinks about first. I think about Rogue for all the right reasons. And one of them is, for this series in particular, the artwork. So obviously we're hanging out with Evan as well. We'll link it in the show notes, but if you have not gone to monstersofipa.com yet and watched the video, the trailer that's up right now of this upcoming battle, I mean, you're missing out. It's the cream of the crop. It feels like it belongs on Adult Swim, and it's the best. Tell me everything I need to know about this, Evan. Obviously, the conception, this isn't the first year, of course. We're revisiting this, but fill me in on what that's been like, kind of making these beers come to life, all this cool stuff.
Yeah, no, it has been a total blast. And it obviously all started with Batsquatch, as you know. And so we've kind of been riding the success of that. The beer has been obviously great, and then people have really connected too with the story of the legend, the Pacific Northwest cryptid. There's just a lot. It's a really lot of fun, that whole world. Yeah. So it was kind of a no-brainer to just keep going with that. And we brought Claude in, and now obviously Gumberoo has sort of rounded out the group, and there's 3, so it feels a little more complete to me. And the animations this year are just incredible, I think. We have a designer on the team, Mel Purdy, who just did a killer job with interpreting kind of the monsters that I illustrated and created on these cans, and just took it to another level with the Battle of the Beasts. So it's been a blast.
That's awesome and well deserved. I mean, you guys have always been known for your artwork, and now that's for on the beer, and now that's kind of everywhere. Every brewery is like, we need to have a great package to stand out. So, but you guys are already blowing through that milestone and going packages. What about cartoons? You fools! Get on the internet, get on the interwebs, get up in there, and you're boom once again ahead of the curve. And truly, again, we're gonna link it. You got to watch it. Kyle and I were cracking up about it today. The Colossal Claude from last year, like that is amazing. Like that video is so funny. All the voices and the crazy old sailor telling the story in the bar. You're missing out if you haven't seen this stuff. And again, we'll make it easy. You can just click on the video and the links and we'll take you right there. But I was excited when I saw the new one. I was like, oh yeah, like I felt like it was like the next Batman or Marvel movie. I was like, this is it. The trailer. Where's the popcorn? I'm going to call out for the day. I didn't do that. Anyway, cool. So, I mean, but yeah, so I'm pumped we're here, and we're kind of like at like the beginning, I guess, of this year's Monster IPA. Like the battle hasn't happened yet, right? Like we're kind of waiting on that to see what the people choose, or kind of where are we right now in the whole timeline of these Monsters of IPA?
So this kind of kicked off yesterday. I guess the first episode is out and it's live. So we have already had a ton of, I guess, votes are just kind of flooding in.
Yes.
Actually, even before the first video dropped, we were getting, check-ins on Untapped and votes. And so we're off to a great start.
I love it. That's amazing. And obviously, I mean, Batsquatch being the most senior of the monsters, looking at Untapped, I mean, they're like way ahead in terms of check-ins. There's 121,000 total, 1,400 this month. So they're doing well. Colossal Claude is like 612. Gumberoo is 597. So like right there. And I think everyone's going to love this new one because, I mean, who doesn't love a great West Coast IPA? We spoke a lot with Matt from Firestone Walker last week about that. They're kind of, some say they never left, but you could say like West Coast IPAs, we're returning to a beer with some bitterness to it, which is exciting for someone from New England who had to brew New England IPAs as part of my job for a while. They're great. They're amazing. But I grew up drinking like Green Flash's West Coast IPA. I just like being punched in the face every once in a while with a bunch of hops. So I'm excited we're doing that right here. But can you talk about that a little bit? Like why West Coast IPA? Hit me with some knowledge.
Obviously because of the best style of beer.
Right answer.
Best kind of IPAs, that's for sure.
Right.
Yeah. So other than that, I guess,
no, yeah, it fit really well. You know, we're sticking with IPAs. It was kind of a no-brainer as a juxtaposition against Batsquatch, which is a hazy.
Sure.
Not that Batsquatch is some absurd, like, stupid smoothie beer where the cans explode on you, but it's a reasonable version of it. But yeah, I mean, like you said, it's. And the bitterness in it isn't crazy. Right. I don't think it's the West Coast IPAs you would have found in the early 2000s. It's
right.
It has that balance to it. The bitterness is there, but I think all those styles are just kind of reverting back to the mean. I think, well, people are still out there doing it and making these stupid hazies that are just disgusting. I think everybody's kind of reverting back to the mean of like, oh, maybe beer should have balance to it and actually taste like beer a little bit. So, yeah, West Coast IPA, good is my main point.
Yes.
Was there something about being inspired by this sort of like third cryptid that like pushed you towards West Coast IPA, or anything like that ties in with the character itself?
I think, our brewery is literally right on Yaquina Bay in Newport. So we have made the claim before, like, we're the West Coast IPA.
Right.
I don't know if that lines up, with the longitude and latitudes, but we're pretty coasty. So it's a no-brainer for us. And again, it's, the part of the Gumberoo is part of like Northwest lore, so that ties in as well.
Mm-hmm.
I know. And we should talk about that. Who wants to tell the story of the Gumberoo? Like, what the heck is this half pig, half bear thing? Starting forest fires.
I mean, it's cool as hell too as a t-shirt. If you
I love the shirt.
You gotta go get one. Like it is very cool looking.
I'm gonna wear this all week.
No, it was pretty fun actually looking into the reported sightings, right? It's been described as an obese bear or some sort of large, thing on all fours. So that, it kind of was fun to figure out what I wanted it to look like when drawing this thing. But there's some fun images if you just start with a Google search. There's some funny illustrations out there, and
I did. And it's kind of amazing. Like the eyewitness accounts that I found, it was like he has 6 legs, he has 13, he's a bear, he's a pig, he has no hair, he has a mustache. People, I don't know what's going on in the woods in the Pacific Northwest. Maybe more than lumber is being chopped down, different kind of lumber. But this is a while. This is like the 1900s and the early 1900s, 1800s. This stuff is happening, right? It's kind of like an older legend.
Definitely, Gumberoo's been around. So, we didn't make it up. Or all the monsters. These are out there. So we're just telling the stories.
I love it. It's a great story. Ooh. Woo.
Yeah, I'm flying through this thing.
I know, right? It's easy for a long day. This thing's it's amazing. Do you guys use Pac-Man yeast in this as well? Is that right?
Yeah, Pac-Man is our house yeast.
Oh, okay.
Our ale yeast. It's what we've used. I'm not sure exactly when we switched over to it. Probably after 20 years or so, we've been using it. So that's what we use in like Dead Guy. And, all of our standard ale styles for the most part. We do use, for Gumberoo, for the hazy stuff, we're using the juice, imperial juice or London 3, what most everybody is using for hazy beers.
Sure.
But yeah, Pac-Man is our go-to. It's a pretty incredible yeast. It's a trooper. It's really versatile. It can go high for big ABV beers. We ferment it at 60 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay.
Which is like crazy cold.
Yeah.
And it can go lower. And actually, we use it in our cold IPA, and we ferment it at 55, and it can handle that. So it's a super versatile yeast.
Right. And you guys made it famous. I mean, that was like Pac-Man is like a yeast that brewers talk about and home brewers can buy and use and stuff, but like it was like your thing, right? Like came out of Newport, am I right?
It was. We worked on it with White Labs.
Okay, cool.
And they gave it to us as a proprietary yeast strain. So
amazing.
Yeah, we're the only commercial brewery that has access to it. People can buy the slap packs of it for home brewing.
Right.
And I suppose if someone really wanted to rip us off, they could just prop that up.
Right. Don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy. No, it has a pretty distinctive flavor to it, especially if you're around it a lot. You start to like that's Pac-Man. But I haven't come across anybody that's ripping us off. So good.
Don't do it. Don't be that guy. But yeah, I heard about it for years, and I think I may have made a homebrew with it once, like 15 plus years ago. But it's crazy versatile. So you're like, can you lager with this thing?
Yeah, basically. You could probably ferment it at 50. I'm not sure. It'll get a little sulfury on you, but it's a charger. It's not. You hear about some other breweries. I've only ever worked at Rogue, so that's all I know.
Sure.
But you hear guys talking about they work with like some of these older British strains, and they have to like punch them along to finish out the fermentation. But Pac-Man just charges through stuff, and it's a pretty forgiving yeast strain for sure.
It's amazing, and a great name too. It almost feels like the fourth monster, Pac-Man, who's not a monster. He's just a misunderstood kind of 8-bit circle that needs to eat a bunch of ghosts. But which I get that. Who doesn't need to get ghosts out of their house? But anyway, okay, cool. I feel like there's so much to talk about. Should we open another beer? I feel like we should. Should we throw some? What would you do next? Okay, so I'm a monster of IPA. I've got all three in front of me. What am I drinking after Gumberoo? What's the move?
I'm gonna defer to Danny here.
Man, it's hard to say. You don't want to drink Claude last probably, because then you're making the mistake of drinking the high octane stuff at the end of the night.
Right.
And you start doing stupid stuff. So I'd probably drink Claude now. Yeah.
It's Claude time.
Get to it.
All right. Let's do it. Let's grab some Claude.
Now, I
Get all some
think,
Claude.
Harrison, you said that obviously
Okay. Yeah.
you've said these beers have been on the podcast before, multiple times. In fact,
Yes. It's amazing.
I guess fun fact for me, now that I'm back on the podcast, I haven't had any of these before. I've never checked any of these in. So I'm excited to go from like level 1 to level 3 here. Very likely in one sitting, but being able to kind of do like a Monsters of IPA, horizontal here is kind of good. It's neat to be able to compare each of these side by side.
Oh yeah. And I freaking love them all. It's tough to pick one. I don't want to be that guy who like has the non-answer, but like this, I remember having this last year and just being like, huzzah, Claude. I thought for sure, I think Hagen and we were talking about like which one wins, and I probably gave a non-answer then as well. I just remember being like, yes, Claude, thank you for existing. So let's talk about this beer. What do we have? What's in the nose? I'm getting like a bunch of Citra. Is there Citra in this?
There is. There's a lot of Chinook and Cascade, so that is going to give some of the. This one's like a pretty interesting. It's almost like a throwback beer, a little bit in the hop profile in some ways, with the Chinook and the Cascade. But then it also has Strata, which is a little bit more. Strata's interesting though. It's like almost like a preserved orange, like sweet marmalade-y orange flavor to it.
Okay.
I think our brewmaster Joel talks about it being like orange juice. Like it's like orange Julius. It's like not like a bitter, sharp, citrusy orange. It's like a very sweet candied orange almost.
Okay.
But yeah, this one, it's got a good bite of the citrus to it. And then I think what else we use? We use Belma.
Yeah, Belma, which I've been seeing more and more. That's like is that a kind of New Zealand or Australian hop? Am I right?
It's a Washington hop.
Okay.
But it falls. It's super similar, and also the name Belma sounds like very Australian-y. Like
it does. Sounds cool.
But and Belma's a weird one. Like it's pretty big thiol-y. Like I remember, the first time I opened a bag of Belma, like some of those big new flavorful hops, they smell terrible when you open the bag because they're just like garlic. There's like these garlicky like sulfur. But then once you get them in the beer and they kind of have some time to figure themselves out, they're pretty flavorful, interesting fruit notes to them. But the other thing about this beer is it's sort of a hybrid, a little bit of West Coast and New England hazy, because we use oats and we use wheat in it.
Okay.
But you guys, notice looking at the pour, it pours pretty bright.
Yeah.
We use Pac-Man in it, so a big part of that haziness is what yeast strain you're using.
Sure.
So it does come out pretty bright, but it should have like kind of like a little bit more body and creaminess. It's a big beer, obviously, and it has that as well, but kind of finds this middle ground of the hazy in the West Coast. Even though it's a sea monster.
Right, which it is, which is terrifying in its own right, but also amazing.
Finds its way up to Columbia.
That's what I heard, right? So it's a sea monster, but it's like in the Columbia River as well. It's kind of a brackish sea monster, which is even more terrifying because you think you're safe inland, but you're not.
It flows up river once a year. Yeah, that.
Right, like a huge salmon that's terrifying.
It's like Tremors, they just keep on coming and
but in the water. Yeah, gosh. We're in Tremors 7 now, I think. The movies keep happening as well, even though Kevin Bacon is not. That's a whole other thing. But yeah, so let's start talking about that too. All right, so we got Gumberoo and Claude facing off. Let's just start with these two. I'm just thinking back to my childhood, and I'm watching WWE and People are throwing chairs at each other and stuff. If this is round one, who's winning? How do you even judge that?
Yeah, that's tough. Just given the whole, Claude being in the water thing is a whole.
That's right.
One side of that, but I think
it's
like you got to give the agility to the Gumberoo and make got the size, but I mean, it's a good question.
Because you got like fire, he's burning forest. You got fire is kind of his power. Claude in the water, he's got great reach though. Like boxing a skinny person, their arms go forever.
That's right.
Man, all right. This might be a toss-up for round one, but I think you make a great point in that it's really about where the battle happens. We had an endless debate in the office, who wins the battle, grizzly bear or silverback gorilla, and it always came down to where is the battle. I feel like this is a similar, on the beach, I don't know. I mean, that's probably what has to happen.
Yep, for sure. I'm seeing a lot of trees too around Gumberoo. Just like there's no way you could navigate that with Claude, right? You'd be tied up instantly. You'd be wrapped around trees.
If he gets into the ground table and he goes under the forest and he comes up in a freshwater spring and Gumberoo's not ready, I think that's also something. If he has echolocation, that could happen.
Yep. Round two, maybe.
Anything could happen.
Yeah.
A billionaire scoops him up in a huge plane that carries the water and he drops it on the forest. That's how the battle happens. Gumberoo starts the forest fire. We got to stop it. Scoops up Colossal Claude accidentally in one of those huge planes, drops him in the forest. I guess Gumberoo wins that one, probably.
That's what will be the one carrying.
Unless Claude lands right on his head.
This is Harrison. I think that was a CSI episode. I think we're getting this confused with definitely like something that happened in Vegas. This is way off.
Was it
way
the
off
Vegas
the mark.
one or the Reno one? A lot of weird things happened in the Reno.
Yeah,
one.
I can't quite remember.
That's not real. All right, we're having a good time. We're having a blast. And so these are all. So quick question about. So I'm a beer fan. I'm out here listening. Are these all pretty much nationally distributed? All of these beers.
Yeah, they are.
That's amazing too. So if you're at home, if you're at home and you're like, how do I get? I can't. You can find them.
Yeah, year round too, which is really rad. Being able to get these all together. I will say too, like just for Colossal Claude, 8.2% imperial isn't typically something like it's right there in that middle range in a 12-ounce can. Like you guys package this up perfectly in a nice, like easily like have one, maybe two at dinner kind of beers, and these go really well.
It also comes in a stovepipe though, right? Doesn't it come in a stovepipe?
Now see, that's what I'm talking about.
19.2. I don't speak East Coast.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, we need our stovepipe. Actually, that's 85 degrees here today. I don't need anything hot near me.
No.
Other than Gumberoo.
Yeah, Colossal Claude comes in the 19.2. Actually, the only one of the three that does come in that packaging.
So that if we're talking about the literal beers fighting each other, Claude has like a volume advantage in the larger cans. There are many different ways you can think about battling them all together. But I'm having a lot of fun. Hope everyone listening is also enjoying. We're all having fun. Let's talk about Claude for another minute. I want to get to Batsquatch. So for Claude, let's talk about like the concept of this guy. Was this also like we wanted to kind of do, and you talked about a hybrid of kind of we got some wheat, some haze characteristics, but also it's got an amazingly balanced profile. There's some great bitterness there too. Was this a beer that you had to work on to get to where you wanted it to be with some pilot batches, or was this also a crazy fever dream?
Yeah, no, this one took work actually. No, we worked. We put a lot of work into the test batches of this one. I think numbers being in the double digits. I think on how many test batches we went through, kind of trying to find yeah, trying to find that balance of between the two coasts a little bit, and the alcohol level. You know, how high do you want to go? It's not like a 10% ABV. It's
Right.
on that range of like, maybe I could drink 2 of these. But yeah, we spent a lot of time working on this one, almost as much time as, I will say, Batsquatch was a real pain in the butt. That one we spent a lot of time on.
I know. Yeah.
Please,
Yeah.
And so when we're drawing these things, I mean, so Evan, talk to me about that. Same deal. You're like looking at goofy pictures and people's eyewitness accounts, or I feel like there's more stories about Claude than there are Gumberoo, and maybe I'm wrong, but talk about that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think exactly. It's been described as having like a horse-like head, which kind of fits with the serpent. I don't know, the long snout thing. So I mean, we just sort of went with the general sea monster kind of dragon looking. I looked at dinosaurs. I looked at all kinds of sea creatures and monsters and things to get inspired for this one. So
that's amazing. It's kind of got like the deep sea fish vibe with the mouth and those teeth and the eye.
Yeah. Tried to give it some kind of gangly looking wild teeth and the dead just glowing eyes. So
right.
Definitely.
If I saw this, I mean, this would be terrifying to come across.
That'd ruin your day.
That would ruin my day. And then from that day on, every time I saw a stick in the water, I'd be like, is that? Oh, okay, never mind. This is just my guard up forever. Could never enjoy the beach ever again. I don't want to live in that world. But, I mean, this is amazing. So, Evan, tell me about, so the process of this, so we just got a little bit of insight to that, but are you like drawing this in a night? Is it many iterations? Is it collaborative? Tell me more.
This was, I think, the second kind of direction. I did do one where the first version was I showed the water level and you could see underwater.
Got it.
And so you could kind of see the whole, almost like the tip of the iceberg, and then you could see the whole rest underneath the water.
Nice.
Because originally it was going to just only be in the 19.2, the tall can. So that sort of was designed.
Oh, sure.
Look, and that's a lot of space vertically to fill.
Right.
And we kind of have our, standard spot for the Rogue logo up top. So there's a lot of room there to fill up. And we kind of decided that, a 12-ounce can was going to be a good fit for it as well. So this was sort of the second version. And I reworked Claude's face and just kind of how the overall look. And I'm kind of glad that I got a second take at it because I think it looks better.
It looks awesome.
Thanks. Yeah. No, this was a fun one. And just during, the whole work from home, kind of sort of the COVID and everything. And so it just takes me back. Yeah.
Right.
Not in the best way, maybe,
but. Well, you certainly made great use of the time. You got to be kidding me.
Yeah, no, and this stuff takes. It's hard. I get asked that a lot, like how long do you spend on something like this? But we have enough things going on where I'm jumping back and forth between projects. But definitely a few weeks maybe.
Wow.
To do something like this, yeah.
That's amazing. And then to make it come to life, let's talk about that for a minute before we jump into Batsquatch. What is that process like? You mentioned a little bit earlier, kind of animating these drawings, these works of art you've created, but what is that? Take me through that a little bit. How does that happen?
Yeah, so, just based on their characteristics and sort of what you can infer from the sightings, we just sort of, just like we're kind of doing here, and just start playing around with what, might happen if a giant sea serpent creature thing battled a, flying Sasquatch guy. Or it starts pretty basic like that. And we've all, seen enough cartoons and movie things where you just kind of, that's the fun part, is just brainstorming what that might look like and what might happen when these all, cross paths, and it's a lot of fun. And then obviously, got to put it down on paper and start to animate it. So yeah, it's a blast.
It sounds like the best job ever. You're at a brewery animating monsters. I don't know how. Right, I had to pick if I've been before I get reincarnated as a gnat or whatever, and they're like, "What do you want to do next time you're back?" And they're spinning the wheel. I hope it doesn't land on gnat. It lands on artist at a brewery making monsters. This sounds amazing.
Or honestly, Harrison, like the monster itself, right? Like somehow making your way that way. Yep.
That would be wild. Come back as Claude or as Gumberoo, or I think I want to come back as Batsquatch. I think, and speaking of bats, let's get this guy open. Let's release the squatch. Mine is sweating because it's been sitting here in this whole state that I'm in. Just remembered what humidity is overnight. Oh my God. Let's do it. The OG monster of IPA. The Squatch, the Batsquatch. You're right. It's almost like, obviously there's tons of legend around this as well. Some fun sightings around Mount St. Helens. We can talk a little bit about that. But really it feels like somebody somewhere was like, what would make Sasquatch more terrifying if he could fly? Got it. And here we are. With that, but amazing to drink. So let's talk about the beer first. What should we all be smelling, tasting, all that madness right now as we get in here?
Yeah, so these ones, Batsquatch is going to give you a lot more of kind of the newer, interesting hop flavors and aromas, like some of the tropical fruit. I think there's a lot of pineapple in it.
Yeah.
A little bit of like almost like a pina colada coconutty thing going on.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of like ripe fruit and sweet fruit, as opposed to like the citrusy, piney stuff.
Yes. Right. The pineapple jumps out to me like immediately. There's almost like a cantaloupe thing happening. Am I wrong? Like a stone fruit thing going on?
Yeah, totally. I think the melons, a lot of like melony flavor in it. It's pretty crazy. Some of these new hops, I think we're using a lot of BRU1 in this.
Okay.
What those like new tropical kind of pina colada hops they're crazy what they can do, and they're perfect for hazy IPAs. They fit the style just like incredibly. Sabro is another hop variety that just is like perfect for hazies.
Right.
And we're using oats and wheat to give it that body and that protein, and then the imperial juice yeast to help maintain that haziness and give it that yeast contributes a lot to the fruit aroma and flavor as well.
Sure, absolutely. But it is absolutely. I mean, I know I was goofing off on hazies earlier, but I do like they look. Well, again, I guess it's all relative. If you show this to someone at brewer in 2003, they'd be like, "You'd pulled that out too early." But, but obviously, we know everyone loves these things, and I'm, as do I. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid or the juice. But I will. So my question though about this, and Kyle alluded to it, kind of all been talking about it. It is tough to make a beer that is hazy, that is like shelf stable, and good. So like for not like 5 days after you make it, but like for a couple months, how did you do that? Like without revealing too many maybe secrets, but like what is the mind puzzle that happened? Like how did you do this? Because I've had Batsquatch multiple times now. I'm on the East Coast. It's great every time I have it. I don't even worry about looking at the can date. I just know it's going to be good, and it always has been. Can't say that about every hazy IPA I've had. Sometimes they're a little goofy. So what is the magic in here besides that Batsquatch has blessed it or whatever they do? Tell me the real answer.
Nah, you got it. It's just the Batsquatch.
Okay, cool. Got it. I knew it.
No, it's I think it's relying on the correct elements to create the haze. It's not yeast that's left over in there. It's not like sediment and shit that's left over in there. It's that weird combination of protein and hops and the biotransformation of yeast, whatever that means, that creates kind of that stable haze which is really funny that that's what we seek out now. People talk about now, and when you look at malts, they talk about haze positive proteins.
Wow.
Which is like, this is how you make your beer look like it's all messed up.
Right.
But it's what people are after. But yeah, I mean, and we've done it. It's a lot of trial and error and just kind of figuring out. Our brewmaster Joel Shields is a big believer in that it's very derived from the hops, in that it's very hop dependent, what creates kind of a stable haze.
Sure.
Yes. A combination of the hops. You need this certain yeast strain. Some of the yeast strains seem to do it better than others. The juice yeast that everybody uses certainly does it. But yeah, relying on those things and not just crap floating around in your beer. We centrifuge this beer. You know, yeah. So we're not relying on weird things that are stuck in there. So it is a hazy that's stable. And then for the flavor, again, like I was talking about with the Gumberoo, it's just you're really packing as much hop aroma and flavor into it as possible. Yeah. If you tasted this beer out of our bright tanks, you would actually, I think, be like, that's too much. But once it gets packaged, there's something called package shock, where it's kind of in this sort of immediate, very quick aging in the beer. And then whatever's happening between then and when it gets to the consumer, it actually allows it to mellow out a little bit. And then that beer you're tasting is really the good stuff. Yeah.
And again, it's been that every time. Are we dry hopping? Yes, no? Can we reveal that?
I can't tell you. No, we don't even. This beer is not even dry hop. No, our technique is we have a dosing system that it has a dosing bell, and then it's a very powerful pump, and it's recirculating through the conical fermenter. We're pulling off one point and pumping back in there, and it's recirculating this sort of hop paste, or at that point it's a thick liquid in the beer for a certain amount of hours, and then after that settles, then we can centrifuge that out.
Wow, I love it. Love the science and the magic of monsters coming together to make this amazing beer, which is clearly working on me. All right, so let's pull them all up. What are we? Do you guys have? Are you allowed to reveal like who you would pick to win in the battle? Would they team up? Does Batsquatch have the advantage because he can fly? I feel like air superiority is always that's the thing. But
I guess you'll have to tune in, to find out. Well,
really, it's all up to us, the listeners and drinkers out there, to be like, let's just go vote and make it happen. So we don't need to figure it out today.
You have to go choose one, though. You have to
choose one. It's tough. I guess I'm in on Team Batsquatch, even though, Gumberoo, West Coast IPA. I don't know. I got to think about this. I wish I could give an answer live. People will probably be mad at me in the comments that I didn't. Although maybe I just did Batsquatch, but that's the whole point of this thing. It's all just beginning. So let's talk a little bit about the actual. The videos as well. So you said episode 1 is out. What is next? What's going to happen? What can we look forward to in terms of just like the cartoons and all the cool stuff you're doing on monstersofIPA.com?
Yeah. So you will see the three beasts kind of their worlds collide. They're kind of out doing their thing, and they're thirsty for beer. They may come across something out there in the wild, and that ends up bringing them together is a Dead Guy, which is our flagship. So that's what they're all fighting over. So
really,
that's the one. Yeah,
there we go.
Get enough. Yeah,
I love it. Is there going to be a combat wombat sighting? Is that too much? You don't need to say. Don't say anything. If there's not, don't say anything.
Might be an Easter egg. You got to watch real close.
Yeah.
Right. If you've had too many Colossal Claudes, you're going to miss it. But that's okay.
And you're going to see it.
Yeah.
Or you. Oh, this is amazing. I just love the whole idea. I think you guys are doing it right. You've always been innovating. Rogue's been like at the front line of every cool beer thing. Me, it's just a nerd who likes cartoons and monsters. Really geeking out and beer. And beer. Usually I'm not saying and beer on this show. It really is just such a cool, crazy, wild thing you're doing, and pumped to be talking to you guys about it today. So let's talk more about Rogue 2022. What's happening? What can we look forward to after, during Monsters of IPA? Give me all the news that's fit to print.
What do you think?
Yeah. So we will have, at this point, you know what's coming up for us. Our Raspberry Tartlandia is one of our seasonals that's coming right now in 6-packs. And then after that, we're getting in. I mean, we're already thinking, about our winter beers right now.
Sure.
We have our Santa's Private Reserve.
Yes.
Which is our, we put that in 16-ounce cans. And we do a different beer every year. So there's a different iteration. Evan's working on the art right now. I'm hassling our brewmaster Joel to get the liquid dialed in. I think we've got it. So that'll be coming out in the winter months. We'll have another 6-pack seasonal coming out in the winter months. We're actually bringing back a throwback beer, our Mogul Madness, which used to be one of our cooler beers. And back in the day it was always in the 22s, but now we're changing things over into the can in the 6-pack. So that one we're pretty excited about. Evan's working on the art for that right now, and he better do a really good job on that. And then we've done a lot of rebranding on some of our other stuff. Our CBD seltzers, we've got a rebrand that's kind of rolling out right now on all the packaging. Our canned cocktails, we also have rebranding on those that's rolling out. The cocktails will be probably more available to most folks that are listening to that. The CBD stuff is a little bit tougher. It's pretty much in Oregon, Washington, California, and it should be in Colorado right now, and in Montana too, actually. But that's a lot of weird legal stuff to deal with, and we let the lawyer worry about that.
Yeah, that's why you have them.
Yeah, and then we're doing some pretty cool stuff with our whiskey. We're going to have a rebrand and kind of changing up our lineup with our Dead Guy whiskey. So that stuff will be at the end of this year as well, and that's going to be pretty badass also.
That will be amazing. I keep hearing rebranding, which I feel like is Evan. It's just all Evan. That means Evan is doing lots of things.
I actually got to go. Yeah, I got to go.
I know, it sounds like it. I'm sitting here thinking like, wow, I don't know when Evan's going to have a chance to relax. But it's all amazing stuff. I mean, clearly, like, yeah, for sure. Again, like I said, if I'm on a wheel looking at what am I going to be reincarnated as, doing cool artwork at an amazing brewery, that sounds pretty sweet. Although, right, as Kyle reminded me, maybe I can land on Batsquatch next time.
I'm thinking maybe Harrison, like Morimoto. Like you're the soba guy, you're the Morimoto, you're like getting in and doing maybe some collabs with these folks. Like that's the place to be too.
That'd be fun.
Some good stuff.
Yeah, just not a gnat or a bug. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, or whatever. It doesn't matter. But this has been amazing. I mean, Danny, Evan, I want to thank you both for hanging out with us today, for enduring whatever it is that I'm saying, for enlightening us, for doing what you're doing, making great beer, having fun with it, like taking this to really the next level. Like, I don't know is there going to be a beer NFT? I think that already happened. I don't care about that. That's not exciting. This is exciting. This
wrong
is
crypto,
cool.
Harrison.
Right.
Wrong crypto. We're talking we're talking cryptids, not crypto.
Right, cryptids. Oh, this guy. What a great dad joke. Dang it.
I know.
But no kid.
I'm back. I'm back, folks. I'm back.
Right. If a child knows what crypto is, I guess they'll be the next president or emperor. I don't know what's going to happen next. First president of Mars. That's for another show, another time. But Danny, Evan, thank you guys so much. This has been awesome.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us, you guys. Yeah, it was a blast.
Yeah, thank you.
You got it. And remember, monstersbypa.com. Get over there. Check these things on tap, obviously. If you got to vote, like drink them and just pick a side. Be better than me. I think it's Batsquatch. Although Gumberoo, I'm the worst, Kyle. I'm the worst.
I know.
Flip-flopper, which is not a cryptid. Although that would be a horrible monster, something that's shaped like a large flip-flop. That's not scary, unless it's really big. And then I guess that's
a flying chancla is like that's definitely a cryptid. Like it's got to be.
If it's not yet, it will be. Someone will see it tonight after drinking all these beers. I may see it tonight. But this has been unreal. How do you feel, Kyle? You just had all these beers for the first time. What's going on in your brain?
This is great. Like being able to have these side by side as well, and taste the differences between them. Different hop profiles, different. We mentioned West Coast really coming through on that last one, but I do like you still get that sense arguably with the rest of them as well. So I just folks at Rogue really making some great stuff, and I was really glad to talk to them.
I know it's so cool to take a bunch of IPAs. They're all different. They're all their own thing.
Yep.
They're all worth drinking. They all obviously stand alone as amazing beers, but having them together, getting to talk to Danny Evan about it. I mean, this has been so cool. So hopefully you guys have been enjoying this at home. Go find these beers, look them on Untapped, jump on to Rogue's website, jump on to monsterIPA.com, vote for your favorite one. Level this badge up. That's right. We have until the end of May. Is that right, Kyle? June 1st,
yeah. So beginning of June 1st is the end of it. So yeah, go do that before then. You've only got a limited amount of time.
That's right. Get this badge leveled up. That's silly. I'm gonna do it right now, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
I am ahead of the game on the badge, but it's totally worth it. This is a blast. Keep watching, experiencing these. I haven't watched these cartoons. I have not watched episode 1 yet. I've just been living off the trailer. So that's what I'm going to do right after this. The links to them will be in the show notes below this video or in the description if you're listening to this on some crazy player. Good for you. That's great. Come see us on YouTube sometime, though, so you can see me sweat and stumble around and see how cool Kyle looks in person. As cool as his voice sounds. And some quick news from Untapped. So, Untapped Beer Festival, we're coming back to Charlotte, North Carolina. We're thrilled to return June 18th, 2022. We're going to the American Legion Memorial Stadium for a one-day, two-session event on Saturday, June 18th. Going to celebrate some of the finest craft breweries with some of the highest Untapped ratings, in addition to unlimited beer samples. We've got live music. There's a VIP lounge. We've got a bunch of crazy things, probably some giveaways. Who knows? Got to be 21 plus, no exceptions, unless Batsquatch flies into the middle of the field, and I'm not the guy that's going to kick him out.
Did you book him? Or I guess we got to run this by folks.
I don't know how you call him or contact him. I think you have to blow up a mountain and he shows up if the internet's telling me anything. But visit festivals at untapped.com for info. Grab some tickets. Until then, keep those glasses clean, your cellars dark, and check your bed for the Monsters of IPAs under the bed, in the closet, all that stuff. They shouldn't be there. They should be in the fridge or in your glass, like they are for us. But other than that, cheers, everybody. Have a great week.
Cheers, everybody.